After sharing breakfast with his kids, Secret Service agent Xavier heads out to pick up the president from his home. But when he knocks, no one answers. He steps inside and is horrified to discover President Cal lying lifeless on the floor. After checking for a pulse and finding none, Xavier scans the room. He spots a wine glass on the floor, two more on the table alongside a pair of earrings, a blood trail leading out the door, and a cigarette at the end of it. The safe has been emptied and the cigarette box is marked with an X, so he pockets it. When Agent Jane calls to check in, Xavier instructs her to secure the house immediately, no questions asked. In a flashback, Cal once confided in Xavier that his wife had voted for the opposition and he feared she might leave him if he lost office. He also hinted it wasn't the best time to raise children, though he didn't explain why. Back in the present, Xavier asked Agent Mike for yesterday's surveillance footage. Cal followed his usual schedule, and in the afternoon he met with Samantha. Later, Cal welcomed a visit from Nicole, a high-ranking agent he was secretly seeing. Xavier now realizes she wore the same earrings left behind. After she left, Cal drank with his father, Kane, who returned to the guest house at 9:30. Cal shut his door by 10:04, making Xavier the last person to see him alive. Mike notes Xavier and Cal spoke for a long time, triggering a memory of when Cal was swarmed by reporters demanding comments on an incident in Colorado. Xavier spotted a man pulling a gun from a fake microphone and jumped in to shield Cal. While other agents tackled the shooter, Xavier was wounded in the shoulder. At the hospital, Cal revealed it was a 3D printed weapon. Now, Xavier shows the body to Agent Billy and orders a thorough sweep of the property before alerting anyone. Billy finds open liquor bottles, 2 dinner plates in the kitchen, and damaged bushes outside. Meanwhile, Mike shows Xavier that all cameras went offline between 10:42 and 12:13, frozen on their last image. In the living room, Jane wants answers, but Billy tells her to stay calm and slips her something before Xavier walks in, asking Jane to declare a code red. Soon, Cal's estranged wife arrives demanding entry, but only Samantha is allowed inside. Kane also wants answers and is taken to a separate room with Samantha. Xavier is soon grilled by his superiors, but maintains it was a normal night. Nicole presses him about their conversation, and Xavier recalls Cal leaving his safe open, pulling out a box and saying he held the news of the world. Xavier was cold, prompting Cal to ask if he'd ever be forgiven. Xavier said he'd sleep again only when Cal was dead. A flashback shows Xavier returning to duty after his injury. Cal, Samantha, and General Kirtley selected him for access to top-secret information related to the Colorado event. The tablet in Cal's box contains sensitive data on that very incident. Trying to clear his head, Xavier goes for a run. The city seems ordinary, residents pay with bracelets, robot ducks float by, and a sign announces dawn will be delayed due to maintenance. It's revealed they live inside a dome, illuminated by artificial light. A past conversation with Kirtley revealed that the dome was built beneath a Colorado mountain in anticipation of a world-ending disaster. Xavier examines the cigarette pack and spots strange numbers. A flashback from 12 years ago shows Samantha recruiting top minds, including architect Anders, to design a self-sustaining city for 25,000 people. He doubted funding existed until they reached a secret mountainside already under construction. That night, Xavier dreams of flying with his wife just before an explosion flashes in the sky. The next morning, Nicole picks him up. No suspect or murder weapon has surfaced yet. Xavier questions how she's leading the case given her affair, but Nicole has an alibi. Cal's tablet is missing, and this is the first homicide in Dome history. Later, Samantha meets with top leaders, including Vice President Henry. She lies, claiming Cal died of a heart attack. As they panic, she remembers her son's seizure and demands the community be told Cal died naturally. Henry will become president to maintain order. Xavier undergoes a lie detector test. Nicole starts the questioning, and Xavier openly admits their affair. Then therapist Gabriella replaces her and asks if part of him is glad Cal's gone. Flashing a hand that reads, "Say yes," Xavier agrees. Gabriella tells Samantha that Xavier's honesty proves he didn't kill Cal. Samantha recalls a doctor urging her to see Gabriella after her son died. She eventually did, and it helped. Now she tells Gabriella she might be right, then asks Xavier to take a leave of absence and drop the case. When the community receives a town hall alert, Xavier's daughter Presley notices Cal's son Jeremy wandering off. She follows him to the library, where he reveals his father died, and they never made up after a recent fight. He even told Cal he wished he were dead. A flashback shows Samantha and Cal at a finance summit, where a scientist warned of an eastern seaboard tsunami. Samantha asked what they could do, and he said, "Dig the biggest hole possible." At the town hall, Henry reads a scripted speech, becomes president, and takes the oath. Later, Xavier asks Billy about 6-digit codes, then admits he suspects Samantha. That night, he burns a cigarette with the code. Elsewhere, Samantha and Nicole hear from the coroner. Cal's head wound indicates blunt trauma, and his fingernails contain foreign DNA. They go to the bathroom and vomit. Xavier visits Gabriella, asking about her hand signal. She takes him on a walk and admits her office may be bugged. Cal visited her drunk, in a robe, burdened and tired. Gabriella offers to help, but only if she understands Xavier better. He agrees. During the walk, he asks if Samantha can be trusted. She deflects, asking about his father. A flashback shows Xavier's dad, Fred, hiding symptoms of Parkinson's. As a pilot, he risked jail if he flew in that condition. Xavier urged him to retire, but Fred ignored him. Eventually, Xavier filed retirement papers himself, straining their bond. They stop at a diner, and Xavier confesses his wife died in another city after he failed to get her on a plane. Another flashback shows he and Fred only saw each other on holidays after that. Meanwhile, Nicole keeps thinking about Cal and orders her team to investigate, ignoring Billy's absence. Jane and Billy talk in secret, noting a digital trace might cause problems. Agent Brooks interrupts, and the two sneak a kiss before heading out. Later, Nicole accuses them of disabling cameras. Jane cracks first. They were bored, so they played games and raided Cal's kitchen at night. Xavier later walks Gabriella home. He brings up the cigarette numbers again, but she doesn't recognize them. She reveals she selected every Dome resident, including recommending Xavier to Cal. When he presses her again, she kisses him. He says he's married, but they hook up anyway. Mid-intimacy, she whispers. Cal said to find Xavier if something happened, and warned that Billy was dangerous. Elsewhere, Billy watches Presley from a distance. A flashback shows young Billy hunting with an abusive uncle who once told him to shoot a dog. Instead, Billy shot his uncle. He landed in juvenile detention, then joined a mercenary unit after proving his combat skills. Xavier texts Billy to talk. As he waits, he remembers the day he arrived at the Dome. A guard deleted his wife's record after learning she missed her flight. While citizens panicked, Cal rolled past in his private car. A week later, Billy and Xavier secured a bar owned by Mark, whose wife was a top atmospheric scientist. Billy drank. Xavier stayed sober. Back in the present, Xavier watches Billy's house from afar. Billy replies, he's already at work. At the office, Xavier finds Billy's file heavily redacted. Jane walks in and he asks if Billy's been acting strange. She says yes, he's been off, even though there's a carnival today, which he usually loves. Xavier remembers Billy once saying, "You wouldn't sit next to me if you knew what I've done." Nicole sees Xavier leaving the file room. At the carnival, Nicole warns Billy that Xavier is on Samantha's radar. Xavier attends with his son James and spots Gabriella, whom he avoids. He notices Samantha speaking with Billy and Nicole. They see him too. Billy finds Presley alone and gives her advice on how to talk to Jeremy. Later, James still hasn't ridden the Ferris wheel out of fear. Gabriella offers to watch him while Xavier searches for Billy. A flashback shows Xavier and Billy telling Cal that people are anxious, not knowing if anyone survived outside. Cal later announced an expedition team would be sent to investigate. Billy finds Xavier and warns him to stop digging. It's dangerous. When Xavier asks about lying earlier, Billy admits Jane was over, and he didn't want Xavier to know. When asked if he killed Cal, Billy's offended. He's been watching Xavier's kids to protect them. Xavier later tells Gabriella he believes Billy is innocent. A flashback reveals that the expedition team died, but not from the outside world. Billy killed Mark's wife after she tried to reveal the truth. The air was breathable. In the present, Billy confronts Samantha, furious she forced him to kill again. She insists the outside world is brutal and that his actions protected their city. Billy begs her to leave Xavier alone, but she threatens to take Jane if he steps out of line, adding that he's not the only killer she brought down. Billy visits Xavier to confess he didn't kill Cal, but may be tied to the fallout. He promises to explain tomorrow. Tonight he just wants to play with the kids. But when he gets home, Jane poisons him and plants evidence of an overdose, revealing Samantha sent her. A flashback shows young Cal telling Kane he wanted to quit the family business to become a teacher, but Kane shut him down and pushed him into politics. In the present, Jeremy drinks before his father's funeral. Xavier sees James playing with a neighbor's dog and scolds the owner, Carl, since pets aren't allowed in the dome. At the funeral, Jeremy shares that Cal's final days were dark. He admits he was tired of Kane's dementia, Cal's silence, and the guilt he buried in alcohol. He even told Cal he wished he died with the rest of the world. Afterward, Xavier asks Jane about Billy, but she claims she hasn't heard from him. Nicole reveals that DNA from the crime scene never reached the lab, suggesting sabotage. She believes Samantha is behind it, but Xavier says she won't trust her due to the affair. A flashback shows Nicole telling Cal she missed guns. He hinted that he had something stashed. In the present, Xavier and Jane break into Billy's place and find his lifeless body. Jane pretends to be distraught as agents arrive. In another flashback, Cal discovers a file on the tablet called First Transmission, June 23rd. Though restricted, he uses Kane's handprint to access it. The file shows the outside world is ruined, but also includes an audio log of a woman survivor. Then Billy calling Samantha, who ordered the whole team eliminated. Cal wrote notes in a book, hid a code on a cigarette box, and made a mixtape for Jeremy. Cal then visited Gabriella, declaring that Xavier was the only one he trusted. He even scrawled Billy's name on his hand. Later, he texted Jeremy saying he had something to show him. When Samantha arrived, Cal confronted her. He knew what she did and threatened to go public. They argued, the same fight Xavier witnessed. In the present, Jeremy drinks again and nearly kisses Presley, but they're interrupted by Kane. Later, Nicole tells Xavier the overdose was too extreme to be an accident. Xavier believes Samantha had Billy killed. Nicole agrees and says she can get weapons. A flashback shows Cal inviting Nicole over after Jeremy skipped dinner. Nicole broke things off, tired of being a secret. Cal begged her to stay and promised he'd divorce his wife. He also told her how to access hidden guns. Still, Nicole left. Afterward, Cal asked Kane if he was proud, but Kane coldly claimed all Cal's success came from him. Crushed, Cal returned to his room and marked the cigarette. In the present, Xavier tells his kids about Billy's death and has them pack. He asks Carl for a favor. Meanwhile, Jeremy yells at Kane for driving Presley away. Kane thinks he's speaking to Cal and apologizes. Jeremy forgives him, saying, "I forgive you for everything, Dad." After Jeremy leaves, Kane remembers seeing Presley the night of the murder. At home, Presley retrieves Cal's tablet hidden under her bed. That night, Carl hacks the fake weather computers. Xavier notices a new streetlight and realizes Samantha is spying. Then a message appears in the sky. "They're lying to you." Crowds gather, stunned. Carl and the kids hide in Mark's bar, but Presley sneaks out. Samantha races to the weather office only to learn the system's been hijacked. She then confronts Gabriella about sleeping with Xavier and orders her to extract info from him. Gabriella finds Xavier at the diner and tries to justify Samantha's actions, claiming she's only trying to protect the dome. Meanwhile, Nicole locates the weapons stash and, with Agent Melvin, loads them up. She texts Xavier. He removes his bracelet and leaves. Now, Samantha's team scrambles. Xavier and his kids have gone dark. Nicole and Melvin also disabled their bracelets. Samantha orders protection for her family. Guards arrive to find an empty gun vault and a note from Nicole mocking them. The sky message changes to, "Do you want to know the truth?" Samantha instructs Jane to kill Xavier. Jane grabs her hidden gun. Meanwhile, Xavier meets with Nicole and their few loyal agents, including Mike and Brooks. Everyone's bracelet is gone. Brooks says Samantha's men are on the move, but Xavier says she took the bait. He lays out the plan to expose her and her elite allies. A flashback shows Xavier giving Cal a White House tour. Cal hinted that Xavier needed to do something about his wife, promising to help her. He then claimed he'd be the last man in charge when the world ended. Presley finds Jeremy and shares that she has the tablet. She used to game at Cal's house with Billy and found it outside. She hoped it would reveal what happened to her mom, but couldn't unlock it. Jeremy takes her home, unaware Jane is following. They show the tablet to Kane. Presley spots his bookmark and recalls the same flower from a jacket seen on murder night. Kane unlocks the tablet. It reveals that Atlanta was struck by 2 thermonuclear bombs. In the hangar, Xavier says they won't use the weapons. They'll make Samantha think they did. The Sky message updates again. Who is Sinatra? With a countdown. At 0, fireworks are launched at Samantha's tower. She panics and orders a shutdown. The dome goes dark. Chaos erupts. Protesters fill the streets. Gabriella sees them as Samantha is escorted away. Jeremy and Presley address the crowd, confirming the messages are real. Jane pulls Presley aside, saying she wants to talk about Billy. Xavier's team heads for the shelter, but Samantha's car detours. He follows while his team infiltrates the bunker. Gabriella blocks his path. She tipped off Samantha and wants the dome to survive. Power returns. Xavier storms the house and confronts Samantha. She confesses to killing Billy, but denies murdering Cal. Then she drops a bombshell. His wife might still be alive. He remembers begging Terry not to go to Atlanta, but she went anyway. Samantha reveals audio files from the explorers. They confirm survivors and breathable air. One file plays Terry's voice. Xavier demands answers. Samantha calls Mark. Presley is missing. Then she reveals the DNA at the crime scene doesn't match anyone inside the dome. The killer came from outside. She wants her people freed, the weapons returned, and Xavier to find the real killer. Only then will he see his daughter again. 12 years ago, dome workers began getting sick from arsenic. When Trent confronted Anders, he was fired and the others were forced to wear masks. Trent grew suspicious and built his own gun. It was his bullet that hit Xavier years later. In the present, Xavier agrees to Samantha's terms and tells Nicole to abort the mission. Henry goes on air to calm the public and confirms Cal was murdered. Samantha calls Jane about Presley. Jane asks for Cal's video game collection and hangs up when Samantha mocks her. Moments later, Jane texts her, "Problem solved." Back at Cal's place, Xavier finds the mixtape and plays it. It reveals Cal hid something in the library. There, Xavier spots a jacket with a matching flower symbol. He uses the cigarette code to locate a book filled with Cal's notes. Nicole visits Gabriella for citizen psych profiles. Gabriella resists but folds under pressure. While searching, they discover a deeply problematic file. Gabriella rushes to the diner and pretends all is normal. Nicole ambushes her. The real Maggie is gone. This one is a plant. Meanwhile, Trent knocks Xavier unconscious in the library. Flashback, Trent, imprisoned, tried contacting former colleagues about the dome. They ignored him. When news of the tsunami hit, prisoners rioted. Trent stole a uniform and found Maggie and her husband, both chosen for the dome. He killed them, stole their IDs, and altered his appearance. He then convinced a woman to pose as Maggie. At the checkpoint, Trent faked a panic attack. Their IDs passed the scan, granting them entry. He worked in the library ever since, waiting for the right moment. On the night of the murder, after Xavier left, Cal was on the balcony reading tablet files. Trent ambushed him with a library artifact. After dragging Cal inside, he panicked. Cal used his own blood to mark the cigarette pack with an X. Realizing Cal was still alive, Trent hit him again, this time fatally. Back in the present, Trent confesses everything and flees with Cal's book, leaving Xavier tied up. Nicole arrives and frees him. They chase Trent to the mining station. There, Trent claims the system turned life into a prison. Then he jumps to his death. Xavier reports Trent's confession to Samantha and demands to know where Presley is. Samantha apologizes. Hurting Presley wasn't part of the plan. Xavier snaps, kills her guards, and aims at Samantha. But Jane shoots first, wounding Samantha. She tells her she spared her life because Xavier would have aimed for the head. This wouldn't have happened, she adds, if Samantha had just let her have the we. Later, Xavier reunites with his kids. Carl and his dog are safe. Nicole recovers Cal's book from Trent's body. Jeremy plays the mixtape as citizens rally around him. Henry scrambles to calm nervous officials. Jane plays We Alone. Presley asks Xavier if Terry is still out there. He says it's time to find out. He climbs into an old plane and takes off toward the unknown. And that's the story of Paradise, the hidden city where no one is safe. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more thrilling stories, and ring the bell so you never miss our next video. What would you do if you were trapped under the dome? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.